Bull City, stand up. The 919 has talent, and now it's time to prove it. The First and Goal 365 Showcase is coming to Riverside High School on June 27th. And this is not just another camp. This is where you get tested, get evaluated, and get verified. No politics, just opportunity. Parents, we got you too. We're bringing a free parent recruiting seminar to help families understand the process, ask the right questions, and get real information about what it takes to move from high school football to the next level. And yes, college coaches will be in attendance. Early bird registration is only $99, but it goes up to $125 at the door. So don't wait until it's too late. If you're a player in Durham, Raleigh, the Triangle, or anywhere in North Carolina trying to get seen, this is your moment. The Bull City Classic presents the First and Goal 365 Showcase.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? It's your man, Coach Block. Hitting everybody up, and we're doing this again. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and get this thing full screen here. How's everybody doing, man? Everybody good? Hopefully everybody's good. Let me make sure we're live on everything. Can everybody hear me? Make sure you can hear me. If you cannot hear me, let me know in the chat that you can't hear me. Make sure everything is good. All right. So if you can't hear me and everything is good, situation ain't right, they got to go. I'm a firm believer. Oh, okay. All right. We already got people asking or answering the question today. So we're talking about transferring. Is it right? Is it wrong? Once again, if you can make sure, I just want to make sure my sound is good and that everybody can hear me. I don't want no problems with people telling me I can't hear you, coach, but I start getting into the show. So make sure you can let me know. Yeah, just let me know. All right. So let's talk about it. Transfers, right? Should it happen in high school? Shouldn't it happen in high school? As a head coach, I have my views, and I'm going to share them. And hopefully, you all have your viewpoints, and you can share them too. Remember, you can hit me up. I'll open up the phone lines in a minute. Just let me get a couple points out, and then if you want to hit me up and share your point of view, you can hit me up at 919-514-4403. I'll put the number up and also share your point of view. So first things first, high school transfers, smart move or running from the grind. I am not anti-transfer, and I am anti-bad decisions. A lot of what I've been talking to you about is parents' decisions for, the best opportunity for their children. And sometimes transferring is not always the best opportunity and the best decision. Transferring does not automatically mean that you're wrong either. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the right move. But if a family is moving specifically without a plan, then I will say that that's the wrong way to go. If you're chasing promises from a coach, that's the wrong way to go. Running from competition, that's definitely the wrong way to go, because that can actually hurt more than it helps. So parents today, this message could rub some people the wrong way, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Is it a smart move? Is it a fresh start for some students? Or is it about opportunity? Or is it just simply running from the grind? Some people I see transferring these schools and jumping around in high school, I'm going to be flat out honest with you. It's running from the grind. It's running from the grind. Every opportunity isn't always a good opportunity when it comes down to transferring. You need to know specifically what you're doing and then how you're going to move it. Like I said, it's not a terrible thing, but I don't necessarily co-sign that it's always the right answer. Transferring is not the problem. Once again, transferring without the plan is an issue. So why this topic matters. More athletes are transferring more than ever, and families need to slow down before making these type of decisions, because parents are hearing promises, right? Your kid's going to get the opportunity to play. Athletes are chasing that playing time, which is crazy. Coaches are not necessarily recruiting kids at certain schools. You do have some coaches that will say that classic line, your talent brings kids to schools. And while that is partially true, advocacy from your coach is another thing that brings opportunity as well. Families get frustrated with certain programs. I do understand that. I know that to be true for a fact. And social media makes everything look better. Most of the time you see teams transferring to squads that have the best social media appeal. Let's just be honest. You don't see a lot of people transferring to schools where their social media is not on point. And what do you see from the social media is recruiting coaches, taking pictures with the coaches that come in to visit. And when you don't see that happening at your school, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to get the hell out of there. On Instagram, I do see, I see the comments. Yes, Huff's whole team needs to hear this. I, along with a coaching colleague of mine, have a theory about Huff. I won't share it, but I'll say it like this. I believe that they have a collective. Personally, somebody is helping them out with doing that. But we'll go into that a little bit later. But better does not always mean best for your athlete. Everybody wants a better opportunity. I get that. But sometimes the better opportunity is actually staying, competing, and developing. Right where you are. To start as a prince and then become a king in your own castle does mean something. So, like, I have a question to ask, and like parents, I'm really interested. So in the comment section, if anybody would like to put a comment in there and say something before you transfer, did you actually sit down and ask, what problem are we trying to solve or move away from at the current school that I'm at? Like, what is it that cannot be solved where I'm at that I have to go to another school? And I'm not saying that for me. I'm saying that so once again, this is a platform for parents to share with other parents, so that a parent who's watching this and let's say, yeah, I'm thinking about moving my son. Well, okay, so if you are a parent who said, yeah, I moved my son, in the comment section, by all means, man, please tell us why you did. And in a minute, I'm also going to open up the phone line so you can call in. So if you're a parent who has moved your son or in any sport, if you've moved your child for recruiting purposes or whatever you may have moved your child and transferred your child from, please, share that. I also have a quick question that I would like to ask the audience, and you all can chime in. And it's simple. Do you agree with high school athletes transferring for, football reasons? Yes, no, or not my business. So if you can, just answer that. Do you agree with high school athletes transferring for football reasons? Yes, no, not my business. The older I get, it's more so not my business anymore. I could care less. Okay, so let's hit some points. Safety, culture, and environment. Some kids need to leave because the environment is just not healthy. Every coach does not connect with every kid. And I do know that some schools, they are hardcore football schools. And sometimes students don't thrive in that. And if on the outside looking in, some people may have thought when I had my own program that I was one of those coaches. And it is to be that way. It was if you weren't coming through my program, if you thought you were just going to transfer in and trump the kids who were already putting in work, we built a culture where not everybody fit inside of it, especially if you weren't willing to work hard for what you got. 3 years as a head coach, I only had 2 kids transfer in to play. One from Northern Durham and another one from Millbrook. But the reason why they both transferred was one transferred for his parents moving. The other one transferred running because he was not going to start running back at Millbrook. And he knew that our big running back had just graduated. So he's seen an opportunity. So, But some kids need to leave because the environment's not healthy. If the environment is a toxic environment, I will say you need to go. If kids are being mistreated, If the culture is damaging confidence, I do not believe that you should sit there and stay. But I also your confidence can't be fragile, meaning if coach is not specifically targeting you and it's just your confidence is down because you're not playing, I am of the proponent of get better. If you're not seeing the field, don't take it out on the coach and you think it's going to get better somewhere else. Get better and let's see what happens. Do some of the things that we have been talking about before. So many people just want to check out mentally because we do take mental health a lot more seriously now. Back when I played, I can say that now. I'm like, from 45. So back when I played high school football, nobody cared about your emotional or mental state. That wasn't even a factor in staying at a school or leaving a school. You would get talked about basically if you did leave a school to go across to another school across town. So that's where I think like culture comes into play, but I'll talk about that in a second. And if the school situation is unsafe, I am also going to say that I'm big on the school environment where I got to learn. You spend more time during a school year at the school in the facilities than you do at home. So, a lot of parents would get mad about that when I said that. But at the end of the day, you spend more time awake at a school building and its facilities. You spend more time there than you do at home when your football season is in. Most of the time you check in at school. I know here in Wake County, like 7 o'clock, 7 something, 8 something. You don't get home until 9 o'clock. If you're playing a sport, 8, 9 o'clock. Well, by the time you get home, you got time to eat, do homework, go to sleep, and do it again. You do that 5 times a week. You're at school more than you are at home. So if the environment is not safe, I do believe student athletes should transfer if an environment is not specifically safe. Football is important, but your child's well-being is more important than the depth chart. So that's where I look at it and say, okay, if I notice my son is tanking, coach is killing his confidence, and I'm not saying he's killing his confidence because he's coaching hard, but there are times, and I have seen it with other coaches, where they will target a player and ride a player until they just don't want to do it anymore. And I think that is absolutely terrible. I can say that I have seen that, unfortunately, and I have been an advocate to make sure that, I step in on situations like that. I don't agree that coaches should be going that far. If the environment is breaking a kid down and nobody's taking the time to build them up. So like, let's say, I crush a kid, right? You wear them down on film or in practice, but then you don't have a coach that's building them back up, or you specifically are not building him back up. If your head coach is not doing it, then I do believe that it might be time to transfer. To me, that's not a safe environment for a student athlete. And that's when I would say, it might be time to go. Another thing, academics and structure. If there's no academics, there's no structure. Do I believe a student athlete should get the opportunity to leave? Absolutely. A transfer makes sense when a student is not getting the academic support, or maybe is not as academically strong as another school. That plays a part in your recruitment down the line. Better academics, better structure, tutoring. Some schools have college prep, even just accountability. So, for example, at my program, we had check-ins that we would do every Wednesday and every Monday and Wednesday. So we knew what was going to happen before Friday. And if your grades weren't on point, homework assignments weren't turned in, you either missed practice to get those assignments done, because there's no reason for you to step on the field and you're not getting your work done. That's ridiculous. Or you missed time in the game. So if there's no structure like that, and kids are just basically getting by the skin of their teeth to be on the field, because there are coaches that feel like, hey, if you're eligible, you're playing. Even if you're just barely eligible, you're on the field. If you don't want that for your child, hey, I definitely say go to a school that supports eligibility. And then also, if a school doesn't have long-term goals, if a coach doesn't have long-term goals or doesn't see how they can assist you, and I don't just mean academically, right? Because everybody on the team is not being recruited and everybody on the team is not going to college football. We know that. But if you don't have a plan to be able to say, hey, man, I got guys that go to the military. I got guys that choose not to play football, but still end up with academic scholarships, blah, blah, blah. If that's not happening in a program, then once again, I will say this to parents, you transfer, because that is detrimental to your child's development and their character of who they are with being a productive citizen in the society that they live in. I'm not talking about athletics. I'm talking about them being able to be productive inside of this world that we live in. If you do not see the mold for that in the school or in the program, get your kids away from that immediately. Football can't be the only reason why your child needs to move. If the academic situation does not improve, you may just be changing jerseys. So if you're going from one school to another school, you're just changing jerseys. If you're not looking at it and saying, hey, this school academically fits my child, you may be going from one bad school to the next. And yes, there are bad schools. If someone says, oh, there's no such thing as bad schools, that's a lie. There are schools that are just not. There are schools that are in position to supply the needs for your student athletes if they want them. And then there are schools that are there to supply the needs for student athletes because that's what we do. So meaning some schools, they have the programs, but they don't have people pushing the programs of what you need to do. They expect everybody to know the answers, and then their fallback answers is, well, we have this and we have that, but nobody's taking the initiative with a student athlete to help mold them. These are young adolescent students and children. People need to take the time to, I don't want to say groom, that's a bad word now, right? But to develop these student athletes into the productive character that they need to have when they graduate high school. Let's see, what else do we have? Before I move on, eligibility is the beginning of receiving a scholarship. Receiving an offer and receiving a scholarship are two different things. So if I'm not in a place that's going to get me eligible, then I probably should leave that place. So that's where you get Coach Block saying that transferring is cool. If you're in a school where they don't care what classes they place your student athlete in, get them out of there. And that happens. That freaking happens. You need to know what your counselors are doing just as much as you need to know what your coaches are doing. Because if your counselors are putting kids in the improper classes, then that's going to come back to bite you when it's time to talk about eligibility for college. You need to have your core classes covered. And a lot of times, foreign language is one that is missed, or not having enough of a math, not having enough of a science, social studies, English. If you don't have those, then when it's time for you to be recruited, next thing you know, you're just out there in Shitsville. So if that's not happening and you notice that you're having those type of issues, boom, get your kid out of there. Let's just talk about development too. Sometimes a kid isn't being developed where they're at. And so these are some points that I sat down and thought about, and questions that you can ask if you're thinking about removing your kid. Is he being coached? Is he being corrected? Is he there learning the game, right? Not learning plays, but learning the game. Nothing infuriates me more than seeing coaches teach plays and not teaching the game. You have to understand the details, the why I'm doing what I'm doing. Many programs suffer, not necessarily because they don't have the talent. It's because you don't teach the why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And it may take forever for you to get that through, right? But if they perfect it, guess what? That's something that you can consider a foundational standard for your child and for your program. This is what we hang our hats on. I can't stand coaches who want to hear plays just because they have a million fucking plays. There's nothing worse than that. If you're not teaching the kids the game, you're wasting their time. All right. If that is the case, get your kid, run for the hills. Get your kid out of there. is there a plan for the development? Meaning, strength and conditioning. When do we have weightlifting classes? Making sure that I'm taking the right classes. If I'm not taking the right classes, then I can get help to get the right classes. If I need tutoring, do I have tutoring? And is the communication with the coach honest and fair? That's all you can ask for as a parent. I need honesty and I need you to be fair. And if you're getting honesty and you're getting a fair opportunity, then it's up to your student athlete to do the rest, which is perform. And a lot of people take honesty and fairness and forget performing. I used to keep the film rolling. Anybody who's watching this in the comment section, you can actually put this down and say he's not lying. We would film practice just to film the sideline, so that when I seen a player acting like an ass, I could immediately, once that, my son's not playing. Hold on. Don't worry about it. Let's just cut on this film. Is that your son? Yeah, that's why he's not playing. If you can get honest communication like that, then now we got to talk about, your child being able to perform. And a lot of times that is the case. Practice isn't taken as priority. Everybody wants to treat the game as if that's the time to show what you can do. And then when that time comes, it's like, oh shit, why isn't my child playing? Well, because they dicked around in practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you didn't know that, and now you expected to you have your son play. I'm going to tell you this now. I am undefeated against parents. Undefeated. I do not lose against parents, because children tell narratives that fit with the parent who they know is going to be the most aggressive and ignorant. They give that narrative to that parent to attack a coach. And most parents err on the side of their child, which they're supposed to, but don't take the time to say, all right, now let me look at this situation in its entirety. One, how many other student athletes are experiencing this with this coach? And if they're not, okay, then now I need to ask a question. If this is a situation, then what's the specific problem with my child? Now, if you're going down those lines and all that stuff, then I would say, yeah, you may need to look to transfer a school. But if you know in your right mind your child's not doing what they're supposed to do, don't take your child to somebody else's school to be the next person's headache, because it'll continue. The cycle continues. Or if you are the problem, meaning your child isn't getting the opportunity because you're not allowing, as a parent, your child to grow within the system, and you think their opportunity should be expedited, don't go to another school thinking that that's going to happen. I promise you're just going to keep running into the same problem. And this is why you see some student athletes transfer from school to school to school to school, because it's always somebody else's fault. Every now and again, before we look into transferring, take that mirror and ask, is it me? Now, once you say it's not me and these are the reasons why, then now you got to do what you do. Okay, so sometimes it's just the wrong fit. And I do believe that parents need to be honest. Like, sometimes some schools are not right for a kid, or sometimes a coach has a kid in a wrong position just to fill a body, and that's not fair. So a kid may be playing out of position. The system may not match a kid's strength. For example, if I'm a passing quarterback, but my high school runs a wing T or what's the one that Mount Tarble, the wishbone, if they run that, hey man, I'm out of here. I'm not sitting here handing this ball off 30 times, 40 times a game and not getting the opportunity to throw the ball. I'm out. So I get that. If the roster is stacked with talent consistently, I can see taking that opportunity. Meaning, if there is a senior and a junior who are already locked in, got offers, ready to go, and they're already in my position, well, the senior is going to take 1 year. The junior is going to take a second year. And if you're actually ready to play as a sophomore, okay, we might consider it. But that's a small might. I'm not even co-signing that 100%. Sometimes some students need a clear path to compete, and I understand that, meaning they need to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so if there is a school where it's just stud after stud after stud after stud, and it's nah, man, my kid ain't gonna get no burn here, and you're realistic with yourself, then okay, go ahead, take the opportunity. If your son excuse me, this was one of the notes that I had. If your son transfers because there is a better fit, cool. But if he transfers because he doesn't want to compete, that's different. If I can share and indulge in a couple things, I had a student athlete when I was at Corneth Holders. They transferred him in. All right. One of the persons that transferred or advocated for this student athlete to transfer in was one of the times one of the students, I'm not going to say the student's name, even though he's graduated now, he's older, but he was co-signed by a coach based on 7-on-7 information. All right. 7-on-7 information. And I, as the offensive coordinator, kept saying, can I see some film of him before can I see some film? Can I see some film? And the head coach, oh, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy. I haven't seen any film of this kid. Can I see what this kid can do? And finally, once he got into our school and he started playing, he wasn't the guy. I wanted one of the kids that was already there. But the head coach, no, this is the guy we're going with. And the dude who co-signed him, I'll let him tell you, he watches and he knows who he's a guy that I'm okay. I'm a friend with. I'll say that. I'm a friend with this guy, coach with this guy. He co-signed a kid who never played varsity football. He transferred in and he was trash. Sorry, he was trash. And only because the efforts of him transferring in was so hard and high, the head coach said he's the guy. Only for that kid the very next year to not even really play ball. So when you're transferring, what are you running from? He could have stayed where he was at and had an opportunity. He transferred to a whole different school and it didn't even work out for the kid. And then I personally felt bad because people thought, you're taking it out on the student. No, you're not taking it out on the student. The best man for the job. You can transfer and still not be the best man for the job. Right? I mean, come on, man. Now, so let's not chase promises. And that was what took me to my next point, because this kid that I'm talking about was chasing a promise. The promise was that he was going to start and be the guy, and he was not ready to be the guy. So if you hear these things, don't do it. Come here and we'll get you recruited. Come here and you'll start. Come here and we'll get you offers. Come here and you'll be the guy. When you start hearing those things from a coach, come on, man. Come here and you'll be the guy. Clearly, if you're talking to me, I'm the guy where I'm at. Right? So why don't I just continue to be where I'm at? And I know it's the culture, right? This LeBron James bromance, everybody team up culture, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes it's okay to sit down and develop into the player that you're going to be. Sometimes a lot of coaches have relationships with college coaches, and those conversations come up. Well, coach, why do you transfer? You don't think that coach is talking behind? If the information is not updated, let's say, for example, there's a kid at, I just want to use a random school. Let's say there's a kid at Athens Drive that's a dog, and then you transfer to Broughton High School, and that college coach comes in to see you at Athens Drive, but now you're at Broughton. You don't think they're going to ask that coach why you transferred and what was the purpose of the transfer? You don't think that conversation is going to be had? You see what I'm saying? So you're leaving a trail behind you when you do these type of things, and you're leaving the narrative up to a person who you're transferring from to tell your story for you before you even get the opportunity to speak for yourself. Hopefully what I'm saying there makes sense. A lot of people may not agree, but I'm all about controlling your narrative, okay? What exactly is the school going to do different for your son is what you need to know when thinking about transferring. What specifically is going to happen for my child? If you don't know that and it's kind of murky, and I don't want to hear what somebody say. If you don't know it in your heart, like this is the best decision, don't transfer your kid. I get that it may look better. At the end of the day, the work still needs to be put in. Now, where you display that work, okay, but you still got to put that work in. So then now, what is this other school going to do for me that the one that I'm in isn't? Now, if there are valid reasons to check the boxes, then make that decision. But if you're in your feelings, then stop. Real quick before I get ready to go and open up the lines, because I'm sure there's some people that got some things to say. Running from competition. Some student athletes run from competition. There are going to be some dogs out there. And if you want to be the guy, you got to beat the guy. I don't care who you are. And if here's the thing, if it doesn't happen to you in high school, it's going to happen to you in college. A lot of what you see in transfer portal right now is people who are scared to compete. They think it's easier somewhere else. So then I'm going to just, I don't want to hear this from this coach. I'm going to just get in the portal. And you think somebody's going to pluck you out. But then that's the reason why 62% of the people who go in the portal end up not getting out the portal, because it was you all along. And I had I had a coach tell me one time, his name was Robert Massey. I coached with him at Shaw University. I coached under him at Shaw University. Robert Massey made it all the way to the NFL, right? And his classic line is, you better make this your big time, because you never know when you're going to get another opportunity. He was talking to coaches and he was talking to players. Why? Because you get players in that think they may be better than Shaw, but you're here for a reason. And if you're not the dog and you're not one of the best guys at Shaw University, then what makes you think I'm going to jump in this portal and get out? You're not the best guy at the school that you're at. You're not even on the list or on the board to be one of the better guys at the school. So until you start making a name for yourself, sit your ass down. Same thing goes with high school. What name have you made for yourself? And I'm not just talking about that little itty bitty community with these little itty bitty conferences that we're in. I'm talking about when we open up that region, we open up that state. Where do you sit? Now, if you say, hey, man, I'm a dog, I've been going to these camps, I've been kicking people's ass, I come back home and my coach just disrespects me, then yeah, now you need to talk about getting the hell out of there. But if you're going to camps and you're just another number and nobody's really paying attention to you, look around. It's okay to be the biggest fish in a small pond. At least you're going to get all the attention. Now you turn around and you go to somebody else's pond and you're one of the little fish because there's a lot of big fish there. What you think is going to happen? Now you're just waiting for raindrops off the umbrella. Like, somebody please. What? It doesn't make sense. But once again, you choose what you want to choose. So let me hit these points and then I'm opening it up. If your son leaves every time competition shows up, he's the problem. Meaning, if it's always somebody else's fault, right? It's time to compete, somebody else's fault. Guess what? It's not him. I mean, it's not the team, it's him. College football is competitive every single day. You are competing every single day. And even when you think you're safe, you're not safe, because recruiting never stops. They are looking for your replacement every single year. So it's consistently competition. If you are not okay with that, it's okay to just be a high school football player and enjoy that and get your letter and graduate and go to college or go get a job. But if you're talking about, I want to be the guy and I want to go to college and play, then you need to understand that competition never, ever, ever, ever leaves. It's all the time. So if you think transferring schools, you're still not going to have to compete, because I just walk into a job, you're doing yourself a disservice. Big time. There's always going to be another athlete. Dogs are created every single day. All right. Depth chart. You need to understand there are people on the depth chart. There's a hierarchy on this depth chart. Where are you making plays to be able to defend the fact that you should get the opportunity to be able to be on the field? First, it starts at practice. And if you're not one of the 11 offense or defense, one of the best places to get your opportunity, special teams. If you're running back kicks on a consistent basis, if you're taking punts back on a consistent basis, if you're coming down on kickoff and knocking somebody's head off, if you're coming down on special teams on kickoff return, if you're coming down on punt and knocking somebody's head off or kickoff and knocking somebody's head off, I guarantee a coach will give you an opportunity. All right, I might not be one of the 11, but watch this. Put me as a gunner and let's see what happens. Coach, put me in on special teams. Let me go down and make a play. If you can make a play on special teams, they're going to put you in the game to make a play somewhere else, offensively or defensively. I promise you that. If you don't believe it, look at most of your NFL players. At some point in time, they played special teams, rarely quarterbacks. So get them off but somewhere a receiver, a DB, even a linebacker, possibly not linemen because they don't run downfield, but majority of those guys we see on 7-on-7, they've played somewhere on special teams. If you feel like you're not getting the opportunity that you want, and especially if you're a sophomore, hey man, you want to be on special teams. Everybody knows one of the students that I trained was Ryan Ziegler. The first thing I told him was not, I want to see you starting. I want you to get on the bus at North Carolina Central. I want to see you get on the bus. And the way you get on the bus is by kicking somebody's ass on special teams. Then special teams will take you to the field. And as a freshman, that's exactly what he did. He made the bus because he was on special teams. And then he also got the opportunity to play in games as a freshman. So if you're not playing in high school and you think I should just be out there, well, get on special teams. And then in practice, it's okay to go with the twos, especially if the twos go against the ones. Kick the one's ass on a consistent basis. And if you kick the one's ass on a consistent basis, well, guess what? You're going to end up being a one, because if you're better sitting there as a two, the coach is going to flip you. And if the coach doesn't flip you, then now we can talk about getting the hell out of there. But you're going to have proof of that, right? So on practice film, you need to be able to see you whooping somebody's ass. If it's not happening, then stop arguing. All right, next thing. Emotional decisions. Don't let one bad moment create a bad move. Football is a game of ebb and flows. You are going to have peaks and you are going to have valleys. And sometimes the valleys seem like they last forever, right? But the next thing you know, that peak comes up and you right back in the game. While you're in that valley, it could be a bad game. It could be an argument with a coach. It can be, somebody getting that depth chart, bumping over you on the depth chart. It could be an emotional parent meeting. One bad decision, can lead to a whole bad issue. And especially like social media moments. Please stay away from social media moments. They are the worst. None of that should have you transferring. Please don't. Parents, don't make a permanent decision off a temporary action, right? Things can be talked about. Sit down and know how to communicate with your coaches without emotion. Be able to talk about it fairly and be able to show what it is that's going on and have proof of concept of what's going on. If your child's being mistreated, please be able to identify the dates. If your student athlete comes home and tells you that they have been mistreated, I promise you should start to jot and journal so that now you have the ability to say on this day, on this day, on this day. Because when you're fighting against a school, the school is going to protect them as the asset before they ever protect your student athlete. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth. So you need to be able to say, on this day, this happened. On this day, this happened. Okay, now we got an issue. Now I'm going to take this to the principal and the athletic director. Don't even talk to the coach first, because now that's going to create arguments and tension. Go to the principal, go to the athletic director, and then have a mediator in the meeting. That's how you handle certain things when you have issues with coaches. When you go emotion for emotion, I'm telling you, it's going to end bad, because it's going to make it look like you're the aggressor. You have to keep your head. This is business. No different than you would chart things. If you had a manager who was doing something wrong, you chart how that goes so you can speak to a supervisor above him about how that works. Same thing you got to do in high school football and any sport. So in high school, period, even in class, same stuff happens with teachers. So yeah, sometimes things can happen. Coaches get mad, kids get mad. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to just take off and get up out of here. So now, if you have been watching, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the lines now. So if you have been watching, you can give me a call. Before I get ready to close the show down, you can give me a call at 514 or 919-514-4403. And we can talk about it. If you have any type of experience with transferring kids, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's fine too. I'm all about collaborative conversations that uplift the community, because there are multiple sides to every story. Some success stories happen with transferring, some do not. Then there's the middle piece that's inside of there where it wasn't that bad for my kid. If you do have a story and you would like to share it, by all means, give me a call now. If not, then that's cool too. You can put it in the comment section as well. I will read the comment. For example, we got Ziegler here who said, Block, let's get into it. We raise our kids and tell them if they work hard, their time will come. Nowadays, Billy can come in and take my kid's position, regardless of how loyal and how hard I work. Yeah, that happens. But then what I'm going to say is your son working as hard as he can, or how hard you think he can? Nobody coaches to lose. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you notice that your coach has a vendetta against your child and would rather lose than see your child play, then yes, transfer. If that's the case, if you know that in your heart that this coach has it out for my kid, and he would rather lose a game than see my child play, well, then get the hell out of there. For sure. But if that's not the case, then we need to have a conversation of what is going on, and then what can my son do to get on the field? And then we need to, once again, have that written down. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And then have your child check those boxes. And then if those boxes are checked and then we still don't see anything from it, then that's a conversation. But to emotionally make that decision without finding out how your child is being evaluated, yeah, now we got some problems. You can't make that decision without knowing what the evaluation process is, because you're basing the decision of your child being outworked by Billy or whomever comes in off of what your understanding is. The biggest thing that a lot of parents do is take the program's understanding and ignore it based on their understanding. You got to talk to your coach. If you're not having regular conversation about your child and where they fit in that school and in that program, you're doing your child a disservice. You should know every step that's being taken, because it's your child's development and your child's future. Now, that doesn't mean you stay in the coach's office on a consistent basis, but you should have check-ins. Okay, spring ball's about to go in. Hey, coach, spring ball starting. Tell me what my child needs to do. What do my child need to work on? Okay, now during spring ball, you and your child, you need to make sure that they're doing the said things. Then at the end of spring ball, check in. Hey, coach, how did development go? How things work out? Oh, nah, I didn't do X, Y, Z. He needs to get better here, there, blah, blah, blah. I would like to see this and this or in that. Okay, great. Going into summer work, check the boxes off of everything that your coach told you that you need to do. Check those boxes off. All right, hey, coach, we about to go into camp, man. How's things been? Is it going well, going good? Oh, yeah, I like his development. I see this, I see that. If those conversations are not being had and you think that when camp, at the end of camp comes, you're going to see your kid on that field in the jersey, well, then you've done yourself a disservice. Because I'm telling you, students lie. So if you're not going to practice or you're not watching film of practice, or your kids will lie. Oh, he's rocking me, coach. No, I ain't rocking you. I asked you to get these sprints done and you ain't getting it done. I consistently ask you to do something, you smacking your teeth. I ask you to do something this way and you tell me your trainer told you to do it that way. Oh, yeah, no, you can't play here. And like I said, I think a lot of coaches now bend over backwards in fear of student athletes transferring. I'll sign the papers for you to transfer to get away from me if I'm that bad. And a lot of people feel that way. I'll sign the papers, go. So you have to be real about this, man. I do have a comment over here. As a parent to many kids, and parents want to leave rather than fight adversity. If my kid is trying his hardest, and giving it all and still can't see the field, then I would consider it. Agreed. The best option, but gotta put in the work and try. Don't just give up and transfer. Bring back healthy competition. Please, I agree. Healthy competition is key. At a time, football, everybody didn't play football. Right now, because of, and I'm going to say it, I don't care anybody like it, because of 7-on-7 and all these frail rules, everybody plays football now. We got scared at some point in time, and then now, like, everybody wants to do it, and it's the cool thing to do. And I don't like that. And I may never be a head coach again. I don't know, because my goal was to weed out those who weren't really about being a football player. If you just want to put the jersey on and say you put the jersey on, if you just want to be a hype guy, if you just want to be a dude who takes pictures on social media and say you just ride along to get it, I don't like that. Now, I don't care if your son is not one of the premier players. He's going to get treated like a premier player, because anybody who can make it through the gauntlet deserves to be treated with respect, right? There are going to be kids who quit, and that's cool. See you in the building, still give you high five. But when you're on this team, there should be a standard. Now, if you can't meet said standard, the question isn't, is it the coach's fault? The question is, what am I missing? Now, if I'm checking all the boxes and there's still an issue and a problem, then where do I fall in the coach's eyes on the depth chart? If the coach is showing me this is the reason why you're not playing, and then I can show you on film, and he gives you the opportunity to correct it, and you choose not to and transfer, then I'm going to put that on you. Now, if the coach is not having conversation or not communicating with you, and you're just coming in and things are just happening without any communication, then I would say that's the coach, right? The coach's job is to be able to explain to his team, to his players, to his parents, of why certain decisions are made. Leading as a dictator, I think, is one of the worst things ever as a head coach. Having an open door policy keeps the stress off of you. Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot more conversing and a lot more explaining. But at the end of the day, parents are not going to be able to say you're not honest with them. I had a mother and a father call me every name out the book because I would not play their son their son needed to play safety because that's what NC State was looking at them as, a safety. And they kept saying, no, my son's a corner. And I said, no, I'm putting him at safety because that's what NC State wants to see. They want to see him as a safety. Well, Dad just kept going and going and going. So I put him back at corner. He didn't get recruited. Now, is that my fault? Nope. He could have left. I would have gladly signed the papers. But not being willing to listen and thinking that you know everything, you're missing the point. The schools on the next level were recruiting your child at X position. You want to tell me, no, he's playing this position. Okay. So now, did you blow the opportunity? Yes. Now, here was the smack in the face. The smack in the face was he tried to walk on at ECU. The first thing they did was call me as a coach and say, Coach, he's not a corner, he's a safety. Can he play it? Well, I don't hate on any kid. I hate on no students. I said, absolutely, Coach. If he's in shape, he's a dog. He can do it. He went to the tryout and he was out of shape. So once again, is it the coach's fault or is it the player's fault? And sometimes we look at our student athletes, we look at our kids, and we put those glasses on, and usually they're rose-colored because they're our babies, they're our kids. You're supposed to love them. But when we're being honest with ourselves, right? Sometimes opportunity miss you. That same kid, and the people who are on my team knows who I'm talking about, same kid. As a coach, remember, they were telling me, oh, I want to transfer. I'm looking to get out of here. Coach Block don't help me, da-da-da-da-da. Same kid, we go to a 7-on-7 at UNC, okay? We go to a 7-on-7 at UNC. I notice none of the coaches have seen our games, and we're about 3 games in. So Coach Block goes into Coach Block mode. I'm talking cash, money, shit. Hey, man, we whooping everybody's ass. We can't get a coach around here. This is the first time I've ever seen Southern Durham because they had the Superman logos on their head. We done whooped Durham's ass. They talk about they tough. I did everything I could to draw attention to get the coaches down here because I had players that they needed to see. Okay? This is a true story. Swear to God. Who was the DB coach at that time? That was it wasn't Ty Law because he didn't coach. Can't remember who the DB coach was. If you were on that team and you're watching this live, tell me who the DB coach was. But DB coach came down, right? And he literally he watched one play. Our kid, the same kid I'm talking about, had the opportunity to take a jump ball and intercept it. And he got mossed instead of making the play. The coach, oh, yes, it was Dre Bly. I'm sorry. Yes, Dre Bly. So Dre Bly came down and he literally, Coach Kennedy was there. He's watching it. So Coach Kennedy, you know I'm not lying. So literally, Dre Bly walks down after me talking shit. And I'm telling you, I'm doing the best shit talk I can do. And Dre, they get him down there. Ball goes in the air. Dre Bly is literally walking through the fence. The ball goes in the air, and everybody's just looking like, if he picked this off, the scholarship is coming. This dude gets mossed in front of Dre Bly. Dre Bly shook my hand. He shook Coach Kennedy's hand, and he walked the hell off. Opportunity gone. Now, is that the coach's fault or is that the kid's fault? Now, some people are going, you're not recruiting my kid. We put you in front of Dre Bly. He came down here just to see the shit that the coach was talking, because I was talking the best shit I could talk. Only for you to get mossed right in front of him as he's walking on the field. He shook our hand, walked the hell off. That was one opportunity, right? Same kid, different opportunity. We're at NC State. NC State, okay, so 7-on-7, right? I'm going to give y'all some shit to talk about here. If you get put inside the stadium, there's cameras in there, right? Now, there are cameras on the practice field, but the cameras are rolling inside the stadium. So what do? I talk shit again. Hey, Coach Trevathan. Coach Trevathan is the high school liaison coach at NC State. Coach Trevathan, man, I've been the head coach 2 years. You ain't never gave us no shine. We can't get on the main stage. How we get inside the field? Come on, man. Blah, 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 blah. Coach Trevathan. All right, cool. Y'all want on the main field? Go on the main field. So we didn't do any games on the practice field. All of our games were on the main field. Coach comes down, talks to me and Coach Kennedy, says, hey, I need you to do me a favor. What's that? We need to get film of this kid. I won't say his name. We need to get film of this kid at safety. All right, no problem, Coach. I said, but You're going to have to tell him that. And Coach Kennedy says the same thing. You're going to have to tell him that because his parents is in our ass about him playing corner. All right, no problem. They have a freaking conversation on the bench. He looks at the kid, tells the kid, you need to play safety in a couple of these games so we can get some film of that. Okay. He goes in. Coach Kennedy's coaching him up. He's playing safety, and he's doing it wrong on purpose because he doesn't want to play safety. He wants to play corner and gets fried multiple times. Opportunity blown. I wish I had a sound effect of poof. Opportunity blown. Is that the kid or is that the coach? Once again, sometimes we have to sit down and evaluate, are we hurting our kids? And the only reason why this kid was stuck on corner was because that's what everybody else was telling him, who wasn't his coaches. So now if that kid came to me and at that time and said, I want to transfer, I would have gladly allowed that student athlete to transfer because the influences that were going around this kid was pointing him into the wrong direction. Same kid. All right. Same kid. This, once again, since Coach Kennedy's watching, I'll drop this. Same kid. We're playing against Leesville. This is the year that we went 8-0 on a run. The last drive of the game, we needed to stop on third down. We make this stop, we win the game. Matter of fact, I think it was fourth down. We make this stop, we win the game. The same kid that just got mossed by mossed in front of Dre Bly, the same kid who got mossed and embarrassed at NC State. Here we go again. Not listening to the coach and what we teach. We teach 3, 10, 30. All right. Everybody knows that we teach 3, 10, 30. 3 steps for your read step, 10-step back pedal, 30-step open and run if they're going deep. That is drilled in my head by Robert Massey. I was taught that also by Gerald Kennedy, my assistant head coach. It never fails you as a DB. 3, 10, 30. We're in the biggest game of the season. We beat Leesville. We're automatically conference champs. It didn't even matter what happened next. One kid, same opportunity, is embarrassed by the receiver from Leesville. Again, ran right by him because he's doing the technique that his trainer told him to do. Once again, opportunity, right? But is that the kid or is that the coach? So when the defensive coordinator, Coach Kennedy, is going nuts and losing his mind, we come to find out the trainer told him to try a new technique. We're in the most important game of all of our lives at this time as coach and player. School has never had a conference championship. We're literally playing for this game. Like, we're literally playing for this opportunity. And a kid goes with his trainer's mindset and teaching over his coach. Now, as a coach, you put us in a position to say, should we put you out on the field again? Because we can't trust you. But then now somebody will take that and run with it and say, oh, my kid's being rocked. I'm transferring schools. Nah, you're not following the protocol of the program. You're doing your own thing. And nowadays, kids do their own thing all the time. I promise you, and I don't care if anybody listening don't like it. I'm telling you flat out. I see way more kids trying the shit that they do with these bad habits from terrible trainers and from terrible 7-on-7 patterns and practices. And then they bring it to a real game and think this shit is supposed to work. And it doesn't. It doesn't translate very well at all. And then because you're not getting the shine that you're getting from another program's 7-on-7 team or something like that, now you put it on the coach and say, oh, I'm transferring. There's reasons to transfer. There are reasons not to transfer. And as I said before, the lines have been open. Anybody wanted to call in and say anything, they could. We got Deloach. I'm sorry, I didn't see your comment. Transferring is one thing, but recruiting or recommending is something different. Play where you stay. Coach up who've been there from day one. There will be exceptions to the rules. Kids need to be in love with football, not a position. Be versatile and be a team player. I agree 1,000%. Play where you stay. There used to be a time when you took pride in where you played football based on the community that you live in, right? Where I'm from, there's only a few schools that get the opportunity to kind of grab kids from other locations. But for the most part, the way the neighborhoods are separated, you can't go across town and be in somebody else's program and think that they're not going to dog you out. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, unless you're a dog and I'm that dude no matter what. But there are certain schools that you just don't transfer from because the culture, right? Coach Kennedy, when I met him, he talked about Dudley with so much pride. I'll put it to you like this. He talks about Dudley with more pride than he does Shaw, and he won championships at Shaw too, right? But Dudley, where he's from in Greensboro, that's ingrained in his heart, in his bloodline. He go back home, everybody knows him. He's in the school. Like, so when I got introduced to Dudley, I'm like, damn, Dudley. All right, bet. There was pride in that. I don't see where pride is in transferring schools all the time. I don't see it. I don't see the pride of being involved with somebody else's program and then moving my whole household for that. Where's the pride in that? Right? The culture that I was attempting to build as a head coach myself, the culture I was attempting to build was making sure, hey, man, we going to make sure we stay here, right? We want to make sure we stay at this school. We want people to be a part of this school. Now, like I said, there are reasons to transfer. I'm not saying that every school has roses to them and every coach is great, because there are some effed up coaches that I would not have my kid play for. I'm not going to say no names, but there are some. But I'm also not going to allow my child to run from competition. Just going to be honest. And if I'm going to transfer, I'm going to transfer. I'm not going across the street, right? Like, I'm not going to go play for the squad that I'm going to have to see in the conference again. Like, what? Like, I'm not joining a rival. I see that too. Like, this is crazy work. It's diabolical. So yeah, man, those are my words. Hopefully I didn't go too far off in a tangent and it stayed relevant with understanding that there's a difference between knowing your child and if you need to transfer, or I'm just in my emotions, so I'm out of here. Like I said, I am not 100% left or 100% right. I am in the middle. I think it is a case-by-case situation where you need to evaluate, is this healthy for my child? Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. But majority of the time, we're in our emotions. And if we could just check those emotions and make sure we've checked all the boxes off first before we talk about getting a student athlete out of here and going to another school, I think we can take time to be able to evaluate if that's the best process for your child. Also, as a coach, I'm always going to err on the side of the coach. If you're not giving the opportunity to the coach to be able to sit down and have a conversation without emotion, then I'm also going to say you're doing yourself a disservice. We are people too, as coaches, and especially a head coach. There's so many pieces to the puzzle that people do not see. So at times when you're talking about addressing one specific matter, it may not specifically get addressed, but that doesn't mean that I haven't thought about it or that there's not a plan to execute it. It may not happen on your time. And as long as there's a line of communication on when things are going to happen, how things are going to happen, how you plan on implementing and executing things, give a coach a chance, an opportunity to do what they do, right? And then on the flip side, if you do happen to, and I'll say this because as a coach, I took pride in none of my kids leaving. You know why? Coach better. You don't want your kid to leave? Do better. Like, I mean, you know, that's the thing, right? We at coaches that sometimes we get on this throne and we think that, you know, no kid is going to leave and no, okay, well, shit happens. And guess what? Do better. It's okay. It happens. The world's not over because a kid leaves you. Next man up, right? That's the mindset you need to have. Don't be out here ruining kids' lives either. Like, I see that and I hate that. If a kid transfers and leaves and parents transfer and they decide that they want to do that with their kid, guess what? That's their kid. Allow them to do whatever they want to do with their kid. But calling and reporting kids and calling and telling and all that, blah, 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 blah. Hey, man, those are their children. Allow them to do what they do. If that's what you want to do, okay. As a coach, do better. Make sure your kids don't want to leave. There are coaches right now where the team would die before leaving their school. And you need to be one of those. And if you're not, don't hate on a kid who decides to leave. Shit happens. All right. So we didn't have anybody calling today, and that's cool. No problem. I'll always keep the phone lines open. So if anybody ever wants to call, and before I get out of here, if you do want to call, that is 919-514-4403. You can hit me up. And before I get ready to close the show, and if not, hey man, everybody have a great day. It's a Thursday. We almost have Friday, the best day of the week. A couple things I need to tell you, a couple notes I need to have. Of course, there needs to be a call to action to help get more conversation like this and talk to parents transparently. Tell the parents they need to show up to the parent recruiting seminar that will be on June 27th. Make sure the kid signs up for the camp so that we can get them in front of the better trainers and the better coaches and exposure, and be able to get their information out to college coaches and be able to, you know, make sure that they're getting the opportunity to get recruited. So if they are in a program that's not doing it or advocating for them, then let's do it. I'm not looking for Batman. So let's clear this up. And I think I need to clear this up too. At this camp, I am not looking for Batman, meaning I don't need to see kids like Amir, Marquise over at Roseville, Quentin Cypher. Those guys are good. We don't no, y'all go ahead and do that. We're not looking for that. We're looking for the guys that are unsung, who are on the same teams as some of these guys, but maybe they're just not getting the look. That's who we want to work with. Parents who are saying, okay, how can I figure this out for my kid? Because they're not on this level, right? So what level do I need to, how do I navigate this space? How do I get this done? Because degrees happen at D3, D2 as well. So let's get some kids in. Once again, you'll see them when you go to register at firstandgoal365.com. You'll see the quantity of positions left open. It's a Fantastic Friday. So on Fantastic Friday, that's tomorrow, we'll go ahead and announce the coaches so that everybody can now make their decision of whether you like me or not like me, based on the coaches that I have at the camp. And it's cool if you don't. That's all right. We're going to make sure that we still rock out and have a great time, even though you may have a bias towards coaches. The bottom line is the kids are going to get work. Exposure is going to be happening. And we'll also drop down the schools that have committed and then the invite list of schools who are that have been invited to come. So, yeah, lock in tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow at 1. This one was fun, man. First and goal. Remember, don't compare, compete. Peace.
Bull City, stand up. The 919 has talent, and now it's time to prove it. The First and Goal 365 Showcase is coming to Riverside High School on June 27th. And this is not just another camp. This is where you get tested, get evaluated, and get verified. No politics, just opportunity. Parents, we got you too. We're bringing a free parent recruiting seminar to help families understand the process, ask the right questions, and get real information about what it takes to move from high school football to the next level. And yes, college coaches will be in attendance. Early bird registration is only $99, but it goes up to $125 at the door. So don't wait until it's too late. If you're a player in Durham, Raleigh, the Triangle, or anywhere in North Carolina trying to get seen, this is your moment. The Bull City Classic presents the First and Goal 365 Showcase.